This top 10 list of Africa's worst countries is based on the level of insecurity and violence that frequently erupts in these countries. War and political conflict, terror attacks, human rights violation, and other harmful actions characterize the majority of these countries. The Global Peace Index has classified 153 countries based on their level of peace, and these are the worst performing African countries on the Global Peace Index rankings. Nevertheless, here are the top 10 worst countries to live in Africa. 10. Zimbabwe. Following the country's presidential election in 2008, in which Robert Mugabe and his main rival, Morgan Tsvangirai, both claimed victory in the first round of voting, Zimbabwe has regenerated a wave of renewed violence and instability with the establishment of a two-headed system in 2009. Tensions escalated in 2017 when Zimbabweans began enormous protests against Mugabe, asking that he resign as the country's president. This eventually led to a bloodless military coup. The country has been pushed into violence by the prohibition of public meetings, arbitrary tests, looting, and ransacking. In general, Zimbabwe's government has remained a fractious coalition beset by squabbles and deadlock. The political standoff has harmed the benefits of good governance and prevented Zimbabwe from reaching its full potential. It has hampered both peaceful political involvement and economic prosperity in general. 9. Ethiopia. Ethiopia is the world's fastest-growing landlocked country, bordering Eritrea and Djibouti on the north, Somalia on the east, Kenya on the south, and South Sudan on the west. Ethiopia has a population of 117 million people, making it the world's 12th most populated nation. The nation's capital and biggest city, Addis Ababa, is situated just west of the East African Rift. Military conflict hindered Ethiopia's economic growth in the late 1970s and early 1980s but has since started to recover and has had the higher GDP in Eastern Africa. But somehow, this country continues to be plagued by economic hardship, hunger, bribery, rapidly declining infrastructural facilities, a lack of regard for human dignity, and restricted access to healthcare services. The country has a literacy rate of only 39%, placing it in the Sustainable Development Index's lowest tier. 8. Nigeria. Nigeria is a country located in West Africa. The country is nicknamed the Giant of Africa, mainly due to its staggering population of around 225 million. The country is a democratic and secular republic and Abuja is its capital city. On October 1, 1960, this once British colony declared independence. However, soon after independence from 1967 to 1970, the country was devastated by a civil conflict. Ever since the conclusion of the war, the country has alternated between democratic governments led by civilians and military-backed dictatorship. The country did not achieve long-term democracy until 1999. The world's Human Development Index for this upcoming African superpower is a dismal 158. The country has been facing a lot of problems recently, ranging from corruption, kidnappings, terrorism, and social unrest. Despite all this, Nigeria is one of the mint nations, which are dubbed the world's future brick economies. The country is also included in the next 11 national economy, which is expected to become among the world's largest. The country holds important memberships in OPEC for its huge oil resources and production, the African Union as a founding member, and the Commonwealth of Nations as a leader. 7. Mali. Mali is a West African country that is mostly uninhabited. With a population of around 18 million people, Mali is Africa's 8th largest country by area. Bamako is the capital of Mali and its largest city. Mining and agriculture are the mainstays of the economic growth of the country. Two of the most important national resources are gold and salt. Mali is still the continent's third largest producer of gold. However, Mali has been involved in violent conflicts since January 2012. Fighting regularly breaks out between Tuareg insurgents and several rebel groups. This has led France to launch a military expedition to calm down situations in the country. Moreover, Mali has a highly unstable political atmosphere and is constantly affected by coups and throw-overs. Despite being rich in natural resources, Mali suffers from high poverty rates and lack of peace. 6. Sudan. Sudan has a population of 45 million people, and is the continent's 4th largest country by area. It is also the Arab world's 3rd largest country. In 1956, Sudan gained independence from the British, and ever since, the country has been governed by unstable military administrations that alternated with parliamentary democracies. A deadly civil war occurred between the government soldiers and southern rebels backed by the Sudan People's Liberation Army over religious beliefs, language, and political power. This was eventually resolved in 2011 when South Sudan gained complete independence from the north. However, still to this day, the country is far from stable, and consistently witness all sorts of crimes, acts of terrorism, civil war, and social unrest. 5. The Central African Republic. In 1960, the Central African Republic became a sovereign state. After that, the kingdom was ruled by a succession of tyrants, including a brief period of the monarchy. The Central African Republic is still embroiled in a civil conflict that has yet to see a definitive truce ever since it commenced in 2012. Despite having valuable resources and endowments such as crude oil, gold, diamonds, uranium, timber, cobalt, and hydropower, as well as vast swaths of arable land, the country remains one of the world's poorest. Just in 2017, it has the lowest GDP per capita in the world. According to the Human Development Index of 2021, it is also the second worst ranked country out of 189 countries. In addition, the Central African Republic has the terrible distinction of being both the world's least safe country for young men and women to reside in. 4. Libya. Libya is the continent's fourth largest country by land area. Libya also has the ninth largest proven petroleum reserves in the world. Libya's capital and largest city is Tripoli. Tripoli is home to more than 1 million of Libya's 6 million citizens. Unfortunately for Libya, since the start of the Libya civil war, the country has never known true peace. In Tripoli, a second civil war occurred, this time between the Western-backed government and Tobruk's Eastern-backed administration. It has become considerably more savage as the result of the involvement of many tribal groups. Talks to end the Second Civil War are still going today. 3. DR Congo. Despite decades of colonial dominance and theft by the Belgians and their imperialist King Leopold, this nation has been unable to capitalize from its vast natural resources due to inadequate infrastructure, political upheaval in government, rampant corruption, and slow growth. The terrible national 176 rating out of 187 overall on the Human Development Index reflects the appalling state of affairs. Over 700,000 Congolese locals had fled conflict in the country's eastern and center to safer bordering regions as of 2018. Famine threatens 2 million children, and the violence has forced over 4.5 million people from their homes. 2. Somalia. Somalia has been named the continent's most culturally homogeneous country, with a population of around 15 million people. Somalia's federal government was formed in 2012. After more than 2 decades of conflict, Mogadishu, the capital, was rebuilt. Today, Somalia's economy is heavily unregulated. The country is mainly reliant on cattle, telecommunication, and money sent home by Somalis living abroad. The country also been facing several civil unrest and active terrorism, mainly from Al-Shabaab. South Sudan. South Sudan is Africa's latest republic, having gained independence from Sudan in 2011. Juba is the largest city and capital of South Sudan. However, soon after gaining independence from 2013 until February 2020, the country was ravaged by ethnic strife and eventually civil war. At this moment, Riek Machar and Salva Kiir, the two rival claimants, committed to a reconciliation deal in which they would establish a coalition administration. With a population of 12 million inhabitants, mostly from Nilotic tribes, the country is also one of the world's youngest. South Sudan is highly unsafe and unstable, and the country suffers from extreme poverty. In fact, it is currently the second poorest country in the world. So, there you have it, viewers. The top 10 worst countries to live in Africa in 2023. Make sure to press the like button, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, so you don't miss any of our future uploads. Thanks for watching this one, catch you all in the next.